Hi, John Meter here with another Constellation Charade. We're going to draw our constellation together today and see if you can figure out what it is before I tell you. And in the process of doing that, we'll also learn some interesting things about the constellation we're looking at. So get a piece of paper and something to draw with. When you get your paper, on the top put an N for north, at the bottom an S for south, over on the left side an E for east, and a W on the right side for west. I've drawn the first star in already today. It's just south of the center line, kind of in the middle of the paper, and that's going to be the brightest star in the constellation we're looking at today, so that's a great place to start from. Once you have that star just a little south of center, we're going to start adding stars around it to build our constellation. Go above it a little to the east, and there's a little star right there, like that. Drop down a little to the southeast, and there's another star there. And with the bright one, they make a nice little triangle. We're going to turn it into a trapezoid by adding another star about the same brightness right there. That's the beginning. Let's go to a different part of our map today and go way up to the north, and about halfway between the end of north and the eastern side of the paper, put a mediumly bright little star right there. From that, go halfway to the edge of the paper again and go down and put a brighter star. Not as bright as our beginning star, but pretty close. It's a fairly bright star in the sky. You don't miss it very often. So we have two up in the corner. Come over to the northwest and we've got another bright one over here. And down in the west, a fairly bright one right there. In between, there are three little stars. Not all that little, but they're not as bright as the others, but they make a nice short row. Interesting, huh? Come back to where we started, and we're going to put some on the south side of the sky. So go right underneath it. We're going to put two mediumly faint ones side by side like that. And go directly under them and put two more. Almost a mirror of the two we just drew, like that. Come to the top pair and go directly west, and we have a fairly bright star right there. Again, not as bright as this one, but still it stands out nicely. Come down to the southeast, and we'll have one here, mediumly bright, and one right here. And a second brightest star is going to be this one right here. So make it a little bit brighter than the others. Come further to the southeast, and the most southeasterly star in the constellation is this one. Go up here, and right above it, we're going to put just a little faint line of little dots, because there's a bunch of little stars there that they kind of blur together because they're quite faint. Well, that's our constellation. Anyone know what we're drawing? Well, to give you a hint, I kind of cheated. There are two constellations in this picture. One right in here, and one up in the northeast up here. Well, let's start with our bright star. That's a hint. That star's name is Sirius, S-I-R-I-U-S, which means the dog star. Because it's the nose of Canis Major, the big dog. So we're going to call that his nose. Does it really look like a dog to you? Let's see if we can make it look like one. Start with Sirius, the dog star. Draw a line up to this one, then across here, and then right back to Sirius, making a nice triangle. That's our dog's head. A nose, an ear, and an ear. Let's give him a body. From Sirius, we'll draw a line over to this star, then down to the one underneath that little clump of faint stars we just talked about, like that. Go right down underneath it, and then from there, we'll draw a line to the bright one, and one over here to the lesser bright one. Now, from this star, we're going to come up to the upper of the two pairs we drew. Just act like they're a single star. In our drawing, they might as well be. Then go back to Sirius. This is the dog's body. And these are two hind legs, so let's give him a couple front legs, one there and one there. And our little faint group of stars here represent the dog's tail. It's pretty hard to see, and one day a little boy told me he knew why that tail was so faint. He said, it's a happy dog and he's wagging it so fast you can hardly see it. I thought that was a pretty good answer. So there we have Canis Major, the big dog. Sirius is his nose, 2 ears and a head, a body, 2 hind legs, 2 front legs, and a tail. Come up here to these 2 stars and simply draw a line between the 2. That's Canis Minor. Canis means dog and minor means little, so that's the little dog. The bright star's name is Procyon, P-R-O-C-Y-O-N. And the fainter star is named Gometia, G-O-M-E-I-S-A. Gometia means the hazy eye. So I like to think that that is the dog's eye, and he's just woken up, so it's a little hazy, while Procyon is the dog's tail. So that's the little dog. Kids have another name for it though. They nicknamed it the hot dog. You kind of have to admit it looks more like a hot dog than a real dog. So that's Canis Minor, the little hot dog, with the hazy-eyed one right there. Sirius is the nose of the big dog. It's also known as the dog star. The interesting thing about Sirius is that it's actually 2 stars. It's a binary pair. Sirius A is the one we see. It's a big bright star. But its companion is known as Sirius B, otherwise known as the pup. And the pup is 10,000 times fainter than Sirius, so you're not going to see it with your eyes, even with a small telescope. You need a fairly good big telescope to see Sirius B. It's also a white dwarf, which means it's very, very faint and very dense. If you had 1 cubic centimeter of Sirius B, it would weigh 70 metric tons. That is one dense star. If you ever get a chance to see it, check it out. Now this star right here, the forward leading foot, is named Mersum. Oop, I got my Z backwards. Zan, right there. And Mersum means the announcer. It arises just before Sirius as though it's announcing the coming of the big dog. Sirius, the dog star. Here comes the big cheese, get prepared. So we have Mersum. Down the forward leading of the hind legs is A-D-H-A-R-A, Adara. Now Adara is an interesting star. It's actually a much brighter and more powerful star than Sirius. It only looks fainter because it's much farther away. Sirius is 8.6 light years away, or Adara is 425 light years away. Now the other interesting thing is it shines mainly in ultraviolet light, which we can't see. Bees can. If you could talk to a bumblebee and went out stargazing and you said, what's the brightest star in the sky? The bumblebee would say Adara. Whereas for you and me, it would be Sirius. So depending on what kind of light you use to see, different stars are going to appear to be different brightnesses. To a bee, this is the brightest star. To human beings, this one is. Interesting thought. Well, I hope you all get outside some night soon and see if you can find the 2 dogs. And a good way to find them is to find Orion's belt. That's what these 3 stars are, if you hadn't guessed that already. And it's part of the constellation of Orion. There's one of his legs and his shoulder up here. His body goes off this way. He's not all here, but this isn't about Orion. But if you find Orion's belt, which is pretty easy, draw a line down through the belt and it'll roughly point you to Sirius, the dog star, and hence Canis Major, the big dog. Easy way to find it. And the dogs are out from late fall, early winter, like sometime in late November, early December, you can start to see them. And they stay in the evening sky right through till late April, early May. So there's a good long stretch of the winter that you can see Canis Major and Canis Minor in the night sky. And I hope you can get outside and check them out sometime soon. Thanks for drawing with me, and I hope you all get outside and keep looking up.